Hi everyone, so I haven't done a Periscope for a while, so I wanted to touch base. I'm not sure if you had an opportunity to see the blog post I have up today. This is the time of year around, second semester progress reports. It crept up much faster than it usually does, and basically this year what I did instead was provide a Google form for students to answer, and as I was reading them strategically, the questions were strategic so that they provided me with the information I needed, and if I had questions I can go back and ask them. And one student in particular stood out, and it's the central focus of what the blog post is about today, where he was rather critical about what was going on in class, or in his estimation what wasn't going on in class. And I had the opportunity to have a conversation with this student, which was really eye-opening. I strongly recommend that if you have students who are critical, rather than chastise them or really not consider what they're saying, those voices of dissent are usually very powerful ones, and there's usually value in what the kids have to say about what is or isn't happening in your space. And sometimes you could think that you're right on target and you're really not, or the kid raises issues about things that you know are challenging inside of your space, but there really aren't workarounds for them in a lot of ways. For example, he mentioned that all the students aren't doing the reading, and I tried to have an open dialogue with him about the fact that in a second semester senior class, 34 seniors, there's a high likelihood that not everybody will read everything they're supposed to do, and that will certainly have an impact on full class discussion, which means I need to rethink the way that I'm having that information disseminated among the class. And maybe a full class discussion is not the best idea. Maybe we allow for organic discussions in small groups and then bring those small group discussions to the table in a much larger, wider kind of way. And that's one of the things that we did discuss. He also talked about different kind of products that were partial. He didn't understand why we did the tableau, which I got, although after we kind of talked it through, he got it. He just didn't think it was terribly effective, which is, you know, he's entitled to feel that way. And I tended to agree with him because the class discussion that did or didn't ensue around most of those tableau installations was not great. The class wasn't terribly engaged, and it was like a little upsetting because some of the groups worked really hard to provide really excellent information about the themes they were working on, but when it came time to get the class largely involved in a discussion around that theme, students weren't engaging. So when we moved into the next project and the students helped me redesign the next project, we really tried to find a way that would I'm going to use the word force, but that's not really necessarily the best word to use, to encourage students to participate in a way that would be meaningful to them. And there were multiple parts, and I think they really did get more out of that assignment. He said that it was effective, except for the video part at the end he didn't necessarily agree with and thought that presentations would have been more effective. Again, I had not considered that as an alternative, and the students I was working with to design the assignment definitely had differing opinions on that as well. So I feel like it's also important, though, when you're taking this critical feedback from students, to balance it with, you know, the larger group. In a room full of 34 kids, if only one kid is the voice of dissent, you have to either ask yourself, are there others out there who just aren't being honest, or is this one kid an anomaly, or, you know, where do we find the medium where he's getting what he needs and the rest of the class continues to get what they need, and everything that needs to be taught is also getting taught. So that's sort of what's going on in my plate right now, and I think that I'm going to be doing a follow-up based on some of the really interesting responses to the form. I hope everybody has a super spectacular day, and I go back into class in about 7 minutes, so I am going to take off. Happy Wednesday!